Hello, I'm Fear the Bear, and this is What Did I Miss? Imagine something kind of like a little news segment show for whoever wants to catch up with some of the news. So here we go. Let's start with our first story, the war that we find ourselves in right now. In this war with Iran, as of March 15th, there have been 13 Americans reportedly killed so far, over 1.4 thousand Iranians, and more casualties from the surrounding states. Gas prices are up, the stock market is scared, the Dow is down, the Nasdaq is down, and we have no legit end in sight. Every time the president talks, we get conflicting information about the end of the war. Is it today? Is it tomorrow? Who fucking knows? All I do know is there's dead Americans that didn't need to die. Our president decided to put their lives on the line after he ran on an anti-war campaign. Meanwhile, I keep hearing the peace through strength argument, but that doesn't quite pass the smell test to me. There's a big difference between self-defense and belligerently waving a gun around and then bitching that people are mad at you. Now look, I'm an American. I'm essentially America first, and I love my country. I'm not a fan of the Iranian government, but I still think this war is not justified. Now, just because I disagree with the war, that doesn't make me pro-Iranian. You can disagree with the war or the actions of your country and still be a red-blooded American. Now let's talk about our second story. Freedom of speech, your constitutional rights. Well, if you're American. But just maybe if you're in the EU now too. Looks like the US is talking about plans to open an online portal to bypass content bans for the EU and other countries. Which sounds kinda great. People should be able to access the internet and, with few exceptions, be able to view and post the content they want, especially when it comes to free speech issues. At least that's what us Americans like to brag about. Meanwhile, back here in the great US of A, we have at least 2 states currently pushing legislation to ban VPNs, simply because you may try to view internet content that those legislators disagree with. Well, meanwhile, back here in the US of A, we have at least 2 states who are currently pushing legislation to ban VPNs, simply because you may view internet content those legislators disagree with. All the while we claim the world has issues with their freedom of speech, and then we go and ban visas for 5 more people for the anti-free speech censorship they were just pushing. Apparently, we banned the banners because we don't want to hear it. Not to mention how we were just pushing to deport foreign students who simply voice their opinion. At least MAGA is still cheering happily about the freedom of speech every step of the way. And just to add a cherry on top, Trump now says the media should be charged with treason for AI images. Let's let that sink in. This is from the guy who constantly posts AI images himself and videos and then defends them. Well, this would actually be an ad spot right now, but I'm too small. So I'll just remind you to like, comment, and share the video. Actually, you know what? Leave that comment and tell me if there's a story that I need to know about. Just send it to me. Now, while I've got some of your time to kill, I'm just going to fill you in real quick with a bit more about me. Now, I'm just some dorky guy online, probably a lot like you. I play video games, I watch anime, and I go to work. I am, however, very left-leaning, but I'm not one of those people on the left. Most of my friends are actually quite libertarian, very right-leaning, or very far right-leaning. Now, I do actually understand what hard work is. I've worked construction. I've done the 70-plus hour work weeks with 2 jobs, while also volunteering. I worked with the homeless in one of the largest shelters in North America, with developmentally disabled adults. And I worked almost 5 years with teens and then with at-risk youth, helping to get them into better places for their life. I've struggled myself to keep up with bills before, and I also never went to college. Now I'm just saying all this so you know, I'm just another actual person who's been there, is there, and is going through the same stuff as you. I didn't luck out with the silver spoon. I'm just watching the world on fire the same as you. Alright, let's get back to it. The cost of living is up. Here's McDonald's, up 168% for the last decade. The number of actual first-time homeowners that own a home hit a low of 21%, while the age for the first-time home buyer is now up to 40, meaning that the struggle has never been more fucking real. The credit card delinquency rate has spiked. Meanwhile, the classic own nothing and be happy mentality from the ultra-rich is on full display by the billionaire class. Here's Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, telling you himself why buy a PC when you can just rent one from him. Well, I'll tell you why. Pay is planned to stagnate this year, and everything keeps going up, so we might not have another option. That is, if we're lucky enough to keep our job in the first place, because we're seeing scary layoff numbers this year already. Okay, so here's a change up on our story types, a little less depressing. Maybe a little bit of social media drama will do you some good. So, you may know The Odd Ones Out. They put out some pretty good semi-animated life story and experience type videos along with comics. They've been around for a long time with minimal, if any, actual drama, at least that I know of. But until now. Come to find out there was mass layoffs and the internet went for blood over it. Come to find out it's more like they had to cut back on the freelancers that they have due to the finances of it all. The channel's been putting out less content, which means less money. That concept seems very hard for some of these people to actually understand, but if you look at the comments, you'd think he personally slapped and fired most of these people himself. On his Twitter, you can actually see he posted, and he's actually gone into a good bit of detail and actually offered a severance package for all the people he did let go that weren't actual employees, which is a pretty nice deal for what it's worth. Alright, moving on to our last story, I'll leave you with a bit of a happy one, and it's the Mini Therapy Horses, the charity. It's a nonprofit that visits children and others with actual mini horses. Now, if you know me, you'd know that I'm deathly terrified of normal-sized horses because they're fucking evil, but I do think I could make an exemption for these little demons and the work that they do. From vets to kids to the disabled, they just bring a bit of joy into the world, and they're making that positive impact. Go check out the site, donate if you can, help somebody else. Well, that's it. I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed the show, leave that like and tell me what I should cover next. Feel free to join the Discord. There should be a link down below. We're small, but we'd love to have you and grow into a real, actual community. This has been What Did I Miss? And remember, it's not always about agreeing, but sometimes just seeing what we do have in common and going from there.